MALUGAZ the Corrupted is one of the essential bosses you have to beat, as it will give you the ways to find so many of the optional slime bosses as well as the story bosses for the next stage of the game. It's also your best chance to become an OP fire user with so many accessories and drops that will help, and a chance of taking you to the next stage of being a mage with the soaring armor set drops. So I'm going to give you some tips, talk about what you get once you've defeated him a bunch of times. If you find this video useful, leave a like. Let's go. So how do you find him? Remember, it's procedurally generated, so he'll be in the same amount of blocks away from the core, but not always in the same location. Well, you need to defeat Lurch, the Abominous Mass, put his stone in, and then you'll be able to get the scanner for MALUGAZ, which costs 5 ancient gemstones and 5 mechanical parts. And then the actual summoning item is some of the crystal shards you've hopefully been picking up while exploring the Forbidden Ruins. You need to have 3 of them in your hotbar, press use like you would on a potion or food, and it will make the crystal skull, and this is the summoning item that we're going to be using. It's one of the few bosses that isn't there immediately when you first encounter it. Now getting to him is a bit more difficult than early access, as he used to be in an arena pretty much more or less on its own. Now there's going to be a maze with impenetrable walls, so you'll have to find the entrance to it. Now I say a maze, it's not actually as maze-like as some places you'll find, but it definitely will be a bit more of a challenge taking on obviously the cave shamans. They're probably going to be the toughest thing with their fireballs, and any of the other creatures like obviously the cavemen brutes. There's plenty of little loot chests and stuff in here as well, and just don't get overwhelmed by a bunch of the cavelins. As always, you will find a waypoint stone very close to this. Because it's such a large space, you may have to really explore around the whole outside area to go ahead and find it. I didn't find mine until much later. And then obviously you can just go ahead and teleport anytime you want. I ended up setting up a railway track. That's how long it took for me to find the actual waypoint. Definitely go ahead and bring a bed, and make sure you place it a good way enough outside the initial arena, that way it won't set alight. MALUGAZ can set fire to the surrounding areas, so you're not always safe if you do decide to leave, and if he does follow you, he will just pretty much teleport back, regaining a lot of his health. When he first spawns, after you've placed the crystal skull on the middle, he will obviously set the ground alight. This will obviously give you burning damage, which lasts up to 30 seconds and can take quite a bit from you. So you really want to be as far away as possible from him on the other side of this small arena, and obviously making sure you're dodging the flames. If you're doing this multiplayer, then you may one of you have a watering can, and you could potentially go around putting out the fire. Because it is quite challenging with this, you definitely need something with speed. If you have managed to go ahead and pick up a rift lens which allows you to teleport, that's going to be great, or the swift feather would be pretty handy here too. You can't stun MALUGAZ, you can't use slippery, so if somehow you've kind of bypassed him, which you can't really do because you need to defeat him to gain access to the rest of the next biomes. And if you've got any kind of fire abilities, maybe you've picked up the fire staff, maybe don't use it, as he should be pretty immune to all fire damage. So you're going to need lots of healing potions, because it's probably unavoidable really not getting hit by the flames. So you want high healing foods, obviously heart berries, anything that's going to increase your healing power over time, or any marbled meat that you might have picked up. I do want to test in the future a bit more whether or not traps should work. According to the wiki, spike traps will work for his first phase, as he won't destroy tiles, only in his second phase. So that might be a super quick and easy way to kill him. Otherwise, try not to have a melee class for this one, as it will be a bit more tougher taking him on. Use range where you can. You notice the flames are getting more and more as well, so yeah, it becomes more difficult as he hits the ground, and that becomes set alight too. Normally I say clear out a lot of the debris that you find in the arenas, but these pillars are actually useful a little bit for a while, so you can dodge around them until he destroys them. He's got around 14,000 health, and if he does hit you, he will give you 9 hit of fire damage as well, which lasts for 30 seconds, so that's going to tick and do quite a bit over time. So if he rushes towards you, try and dodge out of the way, that's your best bet. So you will find a lot of magic drops from this. The Soaring Mage set, which obviously is good for mages, as well as the Cavelin Shaman Skull. Also has one of the biggest chances of dropping the Hourglass Ring, which increases the damage of any minions that you've got. So it's definitely rewards for farming him, especially if you got to the stage where you really want to improve your magic or your minions. You'll notice he drops the heart of the Hive Mother. That's because they switched progression. The Hive Mother used to be needed to basically complete killing all the first 3 major bosses and then open up the barrier to the rest of the world and biomes, but they switched it around, so that's why it's still got that drop. The soaring set is the next upgrade from your apprentice gear, and if you're looking for a fire build, then getting the Shaman's Mask is pretty much a good deal. 11 burn damage applied on hit, but also a chance to pretty much consume the target's effective burning and deal the total damage immediately. I honestly found this boss fight super tough in early access. In fact, I left it until I was way overpowered since he was an optional boss at the time. You won't have enough mining damage to go ahead and dig out any of the arena, and I don't think you can even once you get super high ones. But the rest of the walls you will be able to dig out, making it a bit quicker and easier to get to him. If you really do need to leave the arena, he will reset, and yeah, if you fail, pretty much die on the second stage, he'll basically revert to the first stage. Offers quite a few different accessories, chance of dropping as well, especially the Rift Lens, as I mentioned earlier, helps you teleport. It's probably one of my favourite accessories in the game. And if you're looking for the ultimate fire build at this stage, if you can get the Skull Necklace and the Skull Ring, complete with the Blue Tone Book, the free set bonus sets alight all nearby enemies, so that's really good, powerful one. It's not useful for this boss fight, but certainly if you're looking for a Fire Mage build, absolutely crucial that you go ahead and craft the Blue Tone Book, which is the only way to get it at the actual MALUGAZ statue, once you've done it the first time. And just like a lot of the other bosses with their own unique drops, the Skull Necklace and the Skull Ring is the only way that you can get these from MALUGAZ. So I don't recommend Ember Tail as your pet. At this stage of the game, the Orange Slime Jr. will be good enough. It'll give you a boost with damage against the boss, or pretty much any of the other pets if you've come across them. There's nothing really that will protect you against fire damage at this stage either, not until you get much later into the game. If you're really not feeling a ranger build or necessarily a mage or a warlock, then you can go with maybe stone armor, as that will give you protection against bosses, or more damage against them at least. You've actually got more chance of picking up the arcane staff from this guy than you have Gorm. In fact, double the percentage chance with MALUGAZ. You'll get a bunch of other drops of course, like normal, ingots, and lots of mechanical parts and the gems, with some unique collectible items like the goblet. And lastly, a very unique drop. He does drop the pretty much Oracle deck card Entity, which is needed to go ahead and make the Thread of Fate. These cards are part of a big set, and you get them from a lot of the boss fights and certain locations, but I'll be talking about that more in depth in another video. Yeah, you got a good chance of picking up also a pet booster, with the beast ones being a bit more of a chance of dropping. So well worth farming this guy if you've got enough healing potions to withstand the flames, if you're looking to build out your mage set and get some pretty OP fire gear, absolutely do take him on a bunch of times. So once you put the Hive Mother Stone in, you'll have access to the new dagger. If you're building a critical hit class, this is really cool. It's got so many bonuses. The blue leather tome, which like I said, contributes to having that free big massive set where you can set alight enemies, and more importantly, the hologram pod. This is, like I said at the start of the video, how you can find all the other slimes and all the other bosses, or the majority of them for now. So super important for progression, and you'll be able to craft the items to summon Asios here, the Atlantean Worm, and Rakar. Remember, the first box is story bosses, the second box is optional bosses, and the third box is the summoning items. And there we go. Hopefully that's been useful. I've tried keeping this a bit shorter than some of the other kind of farming boss videos I've done, with not maybe as much nitty gritty detail, but hopefully giving you the overbeats after you guys said a bit of feedback. It was pretty too much long and boring going through every single stat. But yep, if you want the better chance of picking up any missing pieces from soaring gear, which you have got a chance of dropping from others, as well as some of the other stuff I mentioned, take on MALUGAZ as much as can. Until next time, right bags, I'll catch you later. Bye bye.